It's an incredibly sad and complicated story that's been unfolding over the last week. One that involves family, a bitter public divorce, and now, tragic loss. Last week it was confirmed that Brandon Blackstock, the well-known entertainment manager and ex-husband of Kelly Clarkson, passed away at the age of 48. He was the father to Kelly's two young children, 11-year-old River and 9-year-old Remington. He also had two adult children, Savannah and Seth, from a previous marriage. For those who follow country music, the family tree is a familiar one. Brandon was the stepson of Reba McEntire, who was married to his father, Narvel Blackstock, for many years. A representative for the family released a statement confirming the news at the time, explaining that Brandon had been battling a serious illness for quite some time. The statement provided to People said, "It is with great sadness that we share the news that Brandon Blackstock passed away. Brandon bravely battled cancer for more than 3 years. He passed away peacefully and was surrounded by family. We thank you for your thoughts and prayers and ask everyone to respect the family's privacy during this very difficult time." Now, that report specified that Brandon had been fighting melanoma. His passing comes just a couple of years after he and Kelly Clarkson finalized what was a very public divorce. Clarkson first filed for divorce back in 2020, but the proceedings dragged on for 2 years, finally settling in 2022, after a prolonged custody battle that frequently made headlines. Based on that public record, it was clear they were not on good terms. But their history goes way back. They first met in 2006 during rehearsals for the Academy of Country Music Awards, where Brandon was working as the tour manager for Rascal Flatts. It wasn't until 6 years later, when they reconnected at the Super Bowl, that they began dating. They married in 2013, and during their relationship, Brandon took on the role of managing not only Blake Shelton, but also Kelly herself. The divorce was tough, but in the face of this tragedy, new details have emerged about how Kelly Clarkson handled the final years of her ex-husband's life. A source recently spoke to Page 6 and explained that despite everything they'd been through, Kelly was there for him. The source said, "It's been exhausting and so sad. Kelly has been working so hard, as well as looking after Brandon. Despite their difficult divorce, he's still the man she loved, and still her kid's father." It's a testament to her character that she was able to put aside years of bad blood for the sake of her children and the man she once built a life with. It's a move that shows immense grace, especially when you learn about the circumstances of his life after their separation, a detail that reportedly added a whole other layer of pain to their split. According to multiple reports, during and after their divorce, Brandon Blackstock began a relationship with someone Kelly knew very well, her former assistant. A source described this development as the icing on the cake of the disappointment. Another source elaborated on how this must have felt for Clarkson, telling the Daily Mail that Brandon, quote, "chose to move on with someone Kelly knew and trusted, which just adds to the person he ended up being to her." To understand the timeline, the assistant worked for Kelly from December 2016 to December 2018. After that, she became an assistant for Blackstock, a role she held until June of 2020, which was the very same month that Kelly filed for divorce. The situation was confirmed in Blackstock's own public obituary, which stated that he and Jones were partners building a life together in Montana. The obituary reads, "Brandon, along with this beautiful and loving partner in life and business, started building a life, building companies, and working tirelessly to create Headwaters Livestock Auction, and what will live on as his legacy, the Valley View Rodeo in Bozeman, Montana." It's hard to imagine how difficult that must have been for Kelly, but through it all, reports indicate her focus never wavered from her children. Sources have repeatedly stated that Clarkson made sure her kids' relationship with their father was not negatively affected, and that their well-being was her only priority. One source explained her mindset, saying, "When Brandon dealt more and more with his cancer, Kelly's only goal was to make sure her kids were okay and let him live his personal life any way he wanted to live it." Kelly knew her former assistant was never going to be a problem for her kids, and there was never any misunderstanding between them. Clarkson also reportedly doesn't blame her for the relationship and was determined not to create more drama than the situation already had. Of course, it's an incredibly tragic situation for his children, his family, and for Kelly. Even though their marriage ended, it's clear she stepped up with a level of compassion that's truly remarkable, ensuring her kids had the support and got to spend time with their dad at the end of his life. Such a heartbreaking situation, a complicated one with a lot of emotions. Let me know what you think down in the comments.